The massive alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit on a Tuesday morning. It was beautiful in a terrifying way. All smooth curves and glowing lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. Within hours, every government on Earth knew that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Captain Taeho stood on the bridge of the Korean Space Defense Station, watching the alien vessel through the observation window. He had served in space for 15 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. The ship was at least 5 times larger than anything humans had ever built. Its hull seemed to shimmer with energy shields that made it look almost alive. "They're hailing us," said the communications officer, her voice shaking slightly. "All frequencies. They want to talk." Taeho nodded. "Put them through." The screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. It was humanoid, but wrong in subtle ways. The eyes were too large, the skin had a faint purple tint, and there were delicate ridges along the cheekbones. The alien wore what looked like ceremonial armor decorated with symbols that probably meant something important in their culture. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the alien said. Its voice came through, perfectly translated. Though Taeho wondered how that was possible. "I am High Commander Velthar, of the Velithian Empire. We have traveled far to welcome you into the galactic community." Down on Earth's surface, in a secure facility in Geneva, Ambassador Yuna watched the same transmission. She had been a diplomat for 20 years, dealing with difficult negotiations between countries. But this was different. This was humanity's first conversation with another intelligent species. Everything she said would matter. "We are honored by your visit, Commander Velthar," Yuna responded carefully. "Humanity welcomes peaceful contact with your people." Velthar made a sound that the translator turned into a chuckle. "Of course you do. All primitive species are grateful when we find them. You are fortunate. The galaxy is vast and dangerous. Many threats exist that your people cannot imagine. Pirates, hostile empires, cosmic disasters. You need protection." Yuna felt a chill run down her spine. The way he said, "protection," reminded her of old gangster movies. "And you offer this protection?" "Indeed. The Galactic Council maintains order across 1,000 worlds. We offer you membership. In exchange for certain resources and your agreement to follow Council laws, we will ensure your safety. We will share some technology, guide your development, and keep you safe from those who would harm you." "That sounds generous," Yuna said, though she did not feel grateful. "What exactly would this membership require?" Velthar's smile widened. "Nothing too difficult. Access to your mineral resources, particularly the rare metals in your asteroid belt. Agreement to limit your military development. Acceptance of council observers who will help guide your political decisions. Standard terms for a developing world." In the background of the facility, Dr. Nari listened to every word while examining data her team had gathered from scanning the alien ship. She was a xenobiologist, and this was the opportunity of a lifetime. But she was also a scientist, and scientists asked questions. "Their ship uses plasma-based weapons," she muttered to her assistant. "And those energy shields probably protect against energy attacks. But I don't see any physical armor. It's like they've never needed it." Back on the space station, Taeho was thinking similar thoughts. He had pulled up Earth's military analysis of the alien vessel. It was impressive, certainly, but it was designed in a way that seemed almost naive. All the protection came from shields. The weapons were all energy-based. It was as if the aliens had never fought anyone who used different tactics. "Tell me, Commander Velthar," Taeho transmitted on the military channel. "How many species belong to this galactic council?" "Over 3,000 civilized worlds," Velthar replied proudly. "All living in harmony, under council guidance." "And how many of those worlds joined willingly as equals?" There was a pause. Velthar's expression did not change, but something shifted in his eyes. "All species eventually understand the benefits of cooperation. Your resistance to this generous offer is unusual." Most species are eager to accept our help. We appreciate the offer, Yuna said smoothly. But humanity prefers to stand on its own. We would be happy to establish diplomatic relations, trade agreements, cultural exchanges, as equals, not as subjects. Velthar laughed. It was not a kind sound. Equals. My dear primitive creatures, you barely have fusion power. Your ships use chemical rockets. Your weapons are crude metal projectiles. You have no shields, no faster-than-light travel, no understanding of quantum field manipulation. You are children playing with fire. The galaxy will eat you alive without our protection. Perhaps, Yuna said quietly. But we are children who survived on a planet that tried to kill us for millions of years. We learned to protect ourselves. Your planet tried to kill you? Velthar seemed genuinely confused by the concept. Dr. Nari spoke up on the conference channel. Commander, I think they don't understand. Most species in the galaxy probably evolved on easier worlds. They might not have our survival instincts. Velthar continued. I will give you one of your Earth weeks to reconsider. Discuss this among your leaders. When we return, I expect a more reasonable answer. Do not make the mistake of refusing the Council's generosity. We have dealt with stubborn species before. It never ends well for them. The transmission ended. The alien ship remained in orbit. A silent reminder of the choice humanity faced. In Geneva, Yuna immediately called an emergency session with Earth's leaders. In orbit, Tejo began running combat simulations. In her lab, Dr. Nari started analyzing everything they had learned about alien biology and technology. None of them said it out loud yet, but they all thought the same thing. The aliens had made a mistake. They had looked at humanity and seen weakness. They had seen primitive weapons and assumed humans did not know how to fight. They had not asked the important question: why would a species that could barely leave its own planet have such advanced weapons? Why would humans have thousands of years of military history, countless wars, endless innovation in the art of killing? The aliens thought humans were weak because they used simple guns and missiles. They did not understand that humans used these weapons because they worked. Because humans had spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of war against each other, the galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson. Humanity had not survived by being weak. They had survived by being the most dangerous thing on their planet. And now, for the first time, the galaxy would meet a species that had earned its place at the top of the food chain. The Galactic Council chamber was enormous, a circular room carved from a single piece of crystalline material that glowed with soft light. Representatives from hundreds of species sat in tiered seats, their forms ranging from vaguely humanoid to completely alien. At the center, on a raised platform, the Elder Council listened to High Commander Velthar's report. The humans have refused our offer, Velthar announced, his voice carrying across the chamber. They claim they wish to remain independent. A wave of surprised chittering, whistling, and other sounds filled the room. Kaldresh, the eldest member of the council, raised one of his forearms for silence. He was ancient, his species living for thousands of years. He had seen civilizations rise and fall. This is most unusual, Kaldresh said slowly. When was the last time a newly discovered species refused council membership? Any 10. I'm quote, council membership, 400 cycles ago, another council member replied. The court lacks. They were convinced to join after we demonstrated our superior technology. Then we shall do the same with these humans, Velthar said confidently. I request permission to take a demonstration fleet to Earth. A show of power should convince them to be reasonable. Kaldresh considered this. Very well. Take 50 warships. Do not harm them, but make it clear that resistance is futile. Sometimes young species need to understand their place in the galaxy. Meanwhile, halfway across the galaxy, a human freighter called the Morning Star drifted through space on a routine supply run to one of Earth's outer mining stations. Captain Jinwoo had been hauling cargo for 5 years. It was boring work, But it paid well and gave him time to think. He was thinking about the aliens when his sensors detected 3 ships approaching fast. They were small craft, probably scouts from the alien fleet. Jinwoo felt his heart race. This was it. Humanity's second contact with alien life. "Attention human vessel," a voice crackled over his radio. "Power down your engines and prepare to be scanned. This is a security measure." Jinwoo hesitated. "This is civilian vessel Morningstar. I'm just carrying supplies. I'm not a threat to anyone. You will comply, or we will disable your ship." Jinwoo knew what that meant. The aliens would probably use some kind of electromagnetic pulse. That was how it worked in movies, right? Aliens had these fancy weapons that could shut down electronics. Except Jinwoo's ship was not built like the delicate alien vessels. It was built by humans who had spent 200 years dealing with solar radiation, electromagnetic storms, and the possibility of nuclear war. Every critical system had redundant backups. The hull was shielded. The computer core was hardened against EMPs. "Sorry, can't do that," Jinwoo said. "I've got frozen food in the cargo bay. If my refrigeration goes down, it'll spoil." The alien ships fired. A pulse of electromagnetic energy washed over the Morningstar. Lights flickered. Some secondary systems went offline, but the main engines kept running. Life support stayed on. The navigation computer rebooted in seconds. "Huh," Jinwoo said. That tickled. He could hear confusion in the alien voices. "Impossible. Your ship should be dead." "Yeah. Well, we build things tough." Jinwoo checked his sensors. The alien ships were trying to box him in. Time to leave. He fired his maneuvering thrusters, simple chemical rockets that pushed the Morningstar into a sharp turn. The alien ships tried to follow, but their elegant antimatter drives took time to adjust course. Jinwoo grinned. His ship was slower in a straight line, but it could turn on a dime. He dove toward a nearby asteroid field, using his ship's superior maneuverability to dodge between rocks. The alien scouts tried to follow but were too cautious. They did not want to damage their expensive ships on mere asteroids. Within an hour, Jinwoo had lost them and was sending a message back to Earth. "So, the aliens aren't as tough as they look." Back on Earth, Commander Hyunwoo received the report in the military command center. He was a career officer who had spent 30 years thinking about how to defend humanity. Now, he finally had an opponent to study. "They use energy weapons and electromagnetic attacks," he said to his staff. "Their ships are fast but not agile. They rely on shields for protection. They've probably never fought anyone who uses different tactics." "What do you recommend, sir?" asked one of his officers. "We prepare for war. Not because we want it, but because they're coming, whether we're ready or not." In another part of the facility, Ambassador Yuna was in a video conference with the Velithian delegation. She had been asking questions for hours, carefully extracting information while pretending to consider their offer. "Tell me about the other species in the council," she said pleasantly. "What are they like?" Velthar seemed happy to boast. "The galaxy is diverse. The Peltari are excellent farmers. The Jorvians mine asteroids. The Kreshnal are scientists. Each species has found its place, its specialty. And what would humanity's place be? You would provide raw materials and labor. Your system has many valuable resources. In time, perhaps you would earn the right to specialize in something more sophisticated." Yuna smiled, but her eyes were cold. "How kind. Tell me, do any species in the council specialize in military matters?" "Of course. The Velithians like myself. We maintain order and protect the weak." "I see. So you're the warriors. And everyone else does what you tell them." "All." Velthar's expression hardened. "The council makes decisions collectively. But yes, we Velithians understand violence in a way most species do not. It is a burden we bear." In her laboratory, Dr. Nari was making disturbing discoveries. She had been analyzing everything they knew about galactic civilization, and something was very wrong. "They don't have any concept of biological warfare," she told her team. No diseases. No poisons. No chemical weapons. It's like these things don't exist in their culture. Maybe they're more civilized than us, her assistant suggested. Or maybe they're naive, Nari replied. Look at this. Their medical technology is advanced, but it's all about healing. They've never had to think about how to hurt someone with biology, and their computer systems have almost no security. They've never dealt with hacking or cyber warfare. She pulled up another file. And this is the strangest part. Every species in the council seems specialized. Some are farmers, some are miners, some are scientists. But humans? We're generalists. Any human can learn to do almost anything. We can fight, farm, build, heal, create. We're not locked into one role. Is that unusual? It's unique. I think something happened in galactic history. Someone or something made all these species more peaceful, more specialized. But humans evolved outside their influence. We kept all our rough edges. 3 days later, the alien demonstration fleet arrived. 50 warships, each one impressive and powerful, arranged in perfect formation around Earth's moon. It was meant to intimidate. It was meant to show humanity how small and weak they were. Commander Hyunwoo watched them come. Admiral Daejin, the supreme commander of Earth's United Defense Fleet, stood beside him. They think this will scare us, Daejin said quietly. She was a veteran of 3 wars and had seen humanity at its worst. They don't understand what we are. Should we try talking again? Asked a junior officer. We'll talk, Hyunwoo said. But we'll also show them something. They think we're primitives with metal guns. Time to educate them. Engineer Jiwoo worked frantically on the flagship's weapons systems. She was young, barely 30, but brilliant. She had spent the last week preparing for this moment. Railguns are at full charge, she reported. Missile batteries loaded. Point defense systems online. We're as ready as we'll ever be. The alien fleet commander sent a message. Humans of Earth, you see our power. You see your situation. Surrender now. And no harm will come to you. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate what happens to those who defy the Council. Yuna responded from the ground. We see your ships, Commander. Very impressive. But before you do anything you'll regret, let me ask you a question. Has your species ever fought a war? We have brought peace to 1,000 worlds. That's not what I asked. Have you ever fought someone who fought back? Someone who wanted to survive as badly as you want to win? There was a long silence. I'll take that as a no, Yuna said. Then let me teach you something about humanity. We've been fighting for 10,000 years, fighting each other, fighting nature, fighting to survive. Every weapon you see, we invented while trying to kill each other. So please, Commander, don't make this worse. Leave peacefully, and we can all be friends. The answer came in the form of plasma cannons charging. The alien fleet was done talking. The first shot came from the alien flagship. A bright beam of superheated plasma lanced across space, striking one of Earth's defense satellites. The satellite exploded in a shower of debris and molten metal. It was a warning shot, meant to terrify. Admiral Daejin watched from the bridge of the human flagship Indomitable. She did not flinch. She had seen worse. She had lived through the resource wars when humanity nearly destroyed itself. She knew what real terror looked like. They just declared war on the entire human race, she said calmly. Send the order. All ships, weapons free. Show them what we learned. The alien commander Velthar expected panic. He expected the primitive humans to scatter and beg for mercy. Instead, he saw something that confused him. The human ships were not running. They were advancing. Sir, the humans are approaching. His tactical officer reported. They're not using evasive maneuvers. They're coming straight at us. Foolish. Velthar muttered. Target their largest ships. Prepare to disable them. That was when the railguns fired. A railgun is a simple weapon. It uses electromagnetic force to accelerate a solid projectile to incredible speeds. Humans had been using the concept for centuries, constantly improving it. The slugs leaving the Indomitable's railguns were traveling at 3% of light speed. They were just chunks of tungsten. But at that velocity, they carried more kinetic energy than most bombs. The first slug hit an alien destroyer's shields. The shields were designed to disperse energy from plasma weapons and lasers. They were excellent at that job, but a solid object moving at relativistic speeds did not care about energy shields. The slug punched through the shield like it was not there, tore through the ship's hull, and came out the other side, leaving a hole the size of a car. "Impossible!" Velthar shouted. "Our shields should have stopped that." "They're using physical projectiles, sir," the tactical officer said, fear creeping into his voice. "The shields can't stop them." More railguns fired. More ships were hit. The aliens tried to return fire. But the human ships were not where the aliens expected them to be. Human vessels jinked and weaved, using maneuvering thrusters to dodge in ways that the alien ships' computers could not predict. Then the missiles arrived. Earth had launched 2,000 missiles before the battle even started. They were not fancy. No antimatter warheads or exotic technology. Just good old-fashioned rockets with high explosives and basic AI guidance systems. But there were so many of them, and they were smart. Each missile could think for itself, sharing information with the others, coordinating attacks, learning from failures. When the aliens shot down 10 missiles, the remaining ones adjusted their tactics. When the aliens tried to jam their communications, the missiles switched to optical signals. When the aliens deployed countermeasures, the missiles just ignored them and kept coming. "There are too many," an alien ship captain screamed over the radio. "We destroy 10 and 20 more appear. Where are they all coming from?" "Enride. We had a do that our way to." "Enride. We had a do Siddery." "Enride. Enride. We had a do Siddery." "Enride. Enride. Enride. Enride." The answer was simple. Humans had been building missiles for centuries. They were cheap and effective. Why stop? In the chaos of the battle, a young pilot named Minho was having the time of his life. He flew a small fighter craft, barely 20 meters long, armed with guns that would have seemed primitive to the aliens. But Minho was not trying to destroy ships. He was being annoying. He dove between alien vessels, firing just enough to get their attention, then dodging away when they tried to shoot back. He led them into each other's firing lines. He made them waste ammunition. He was a mosquito, and mosquitoes were very good at being irritating. "Come on, you big, slow idiots," Minho laughed over his radio. "Is that the best you can do?" An alien fighter tried to chase him. It was faster in a straight line, but Minho did not fly in straight lines. He spun, rolled, dove, and climbed in patterns that made no sense. The alien pilot was programmed for efficient pursuit. Minho was just being crazy. "Pursuit Craft 7, break off," the alien's commander ordered. "You're being led into a trap," but it was too late. Minho had led the alien right into the firing solution of a human cruiser. Railgun slugs tore the alien fighter apart. Meanwhile, in a dark room filled with computer screens, a young woman named Hana was fighting a different kind of war. She was a cyber warfare specialist, and she had just found a way into the alien communication network. "They have no security," she said in amazement. "It's like they've never even thought about hacking. Their systems trust any signal that comes in on the right frequency." She started small. False sensor readings, incorrect targeting data, messages that seemed to come from commanders, but were actually from her. The aliens started shooting at phantoms, wasting ammunition on targets that did not exist. Then she got more aggressive. She found the alien flagship systems and started shutting down non-critical functions. Life support stayed on. She was not a monster. But navigation, weapons targeting, communications, all of it started glitching. "Sir, Our systems are compromised, Velthar's technical officer reported. Someone is inside our network. That's impossible. Humans don't have the technology for quantum data infiltration. They're not using quantum infiltration, sir. They're just hacking, like primitive criminal hackers from our ancient history. So stop them. We don't know how, sir. This hasn't been a problem for 3,000 years. We've forgotten how to defend against it. The battle was going badly for the aliens. They had started with 50 ships. Now, they had 37. The humans had lost only 5 vessels, and most of those crews had evacuated safely. Then Engineer Jiwoo activated her special surprise. Orbiting Earth were a dozen satellites that looked like simple communication arrays. They were not. They were nuclear-pumped laser platforms. Each satellite contained a small nuclear warhead surrounded by laser rods. When Jiwoo sent the activation signal, the nukes detonated. For a brief moment before the satellites vaporized, the energy from the nuclear explosion was channeled through the laser rods, creating beams of coherent light more powerful than anything the aliens had ever seen. The beams struck 3 alien cruisers simultaneously. Even their shields could not handle that much focused energy. Holes were burned through hulls. Reactors overloaded. Ships died. "They're using nuclear weapons," an alien officer screamed. "They're detonating nuclear devices in their own orbit." Are they insane? That was when Velthar finally understood. These humans were not like other species. They were not cautious or careful. They had spent millions of years on a planet that constantly tried to kill them. They had evolved to be survivors, fighters, killers. They would use any weapon, any tactic, anything that worked, and they were willing to die. That was the most terrifying thing. Velthar watched as a damaged human fighter deliberately rammed an alien destroyer. The pilot could have ejected. Instead, he aimed his ship at the enemy's bridge and did not hesitate. "Why would they do that?" Velthar whispered. "Why would they throw away their lives?" His tactical officer, if he had understood humans, could have answered. Because humans were pack animals. Because they valued their tribe more than their individual lives. Because 10,000 years of warfare had taught them that sometimes sacrifice was necessary. "All ships retreat," Velthar finally ordered. "Fall back to the jump point." The alien fleet ran. Of the 50 ships that had come to intimidate Earth, only 23 made it out. The rest were destroyed or damaged beyond repair. On Earth, people celebrated. On the Indomitable, Admiral Daejeon allowed herself a small smile. In her fighter, Minho whooped with joy. At her computer terminal, Hana leaned back and closed her eyes, exhausted. They had won. Humanity had faced the galaxy's might and survived. But Admiral Daejeon knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would go back to their council. They would tell everyone what had happened. And then, the real decisions would be made. Would the galaxy accept humanity as equals? Or would they decide that humans were too dangerous to exist? Commander Hyunwoo stood beside Daejeon, looking at the tactical display. The debris field around Earth told the story of the battle. Human ingenuity against alien arrogance. Human adaptability against alien rigidity. "They'll be back," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Let them come," Daejeon replied. "Now they know. Humanity doesn't surrender. Humanity doesn't give up. And humanity really, really doesn't like being threatened." In space, the wreckage of alien ships drifted among the stars. A warning, a message, a promise. The galaxy had tried to subjugate humanity. The galaxy had failed, and nothing would ever be the same again. 6 months had passed since the battle at Earth. The Galactic Council had declared humanity a quarantine species. No contact was allowed. Earth was to be left alone, isolated, hopefully to fade into obscurity. The Council did not understand humans very well. Captain Sora commanded the exploration vessel, New Horizon. It was a new ship, built using a mix of human engineering and reverse-engineered alien technology taken from the destroyed vessels. It was fast, tough, and carried enough firepower to make anyone think twice about attacking. "We're approaching the Peltari system," her navigator announced. "Sensors are picking up multiple ships. Looks like a battle in progress." Sora looked at the screen. The Peltari were one of the species she had read about in the captured alien databases. They were herbivores, peaceful farmers who supplied food to half the sector. They had no weapons, no military, no way to defend themselves. "Who's attacking them?" Sora asked. "Krelnak's signatures," the tactical officer replied. "Looks like a full invasion force. At least 100 ships." The Krelnaks were different from the Velithians. They were not trying to bring order or peace. They were a hive species, parasitic, conquering worlds and consuming everything. The Council usually kept them contained, but this system was far from Council protection. "Captain, we should report this and leave," her first officer suggested. Earth's orders were to explore and avoid conflict. "We're not supposed to interfere in alien affairs." Sora watched the screen as Krelnak's ships bombarded a planet. She watched as small civilian ships tried to flee and were destroyed. She thought about orders and regulations, and the smart, safe thing to do. "No," she said quietly. "Battle stations. We're going in." Her crew looked at her in shock. "Captain, there are 100 of them and one of us. Then we'll have to be creative." "Helm, take us in fast. Tactical. Prepare the railguns. Communications. Send a message to those civilian ships. Tell them to run and we'll cover them." The New Horizon dove into the battle like a shark into a school of fish. The Krelnaks were expecting easy prey. They were not expecting a human warship. The first Krelnak's vessel died before it even knew it was under attack. A railgun slug hit its engine core, and the ship simply stopped existing. The second ship turned to face this new threat and got a missile swarm for its trouble. "They're trying to surround us," the tactical officer reported. "Let them try," Sora said. "Helm, evasive pattern Delta." The human ship moved in ways the Krelnaks could not predict. It was not trying to dogfight. It was using hit-and-run tactics, striking and moving, before the enemy could respond. Every attack destroyed or damaged a Krelnak's vessel. Every evasive maneuver kept the New Horizon out of danger. But there were still too many enemies. Sora knew she could not win this fight by herself. "Send a distress call on human frequencies," she ordered. "Let Earth know. We found people who need help." On the planet below, a Peltari named Terrell watched the sky in amazement. His people were dying. The Krelnaks had been attacking for days, and no help had come. The Council did not care about one farming world on the edge of space. But now, there was a ship fighting for them. A ship that moved like nothing he had ever seen. A ship that seemed to be winning, despite being outnumbered. "Who are they?" his daughter asked. "I don't know," Terrell said. "But they came when no one else would." Back on Earth, researcher Taman was studying everything humanity had learned about galactic civilization. He was an anthropologist, fascinated by culture and history. And he had found something disturbing. "The galaxy is wrong," he told his colleagues. "Every species we've encountered is too specialized, too peaceful, too perfect. It's not natural." He pulled up his research. "Look at this. 3 million years ago, there was a species called the Architects. They were unimaginably advanced. They traveled the galaxy. And wherever they went, they changed things. They uplifted species, modified their genetics, shaped their cultures. Uplifted? No. They made them peaceful, compliant, specialized. They took away the violence, the aggression, the chaos. They turned every species into something that could fit into their perfect ordered galaxy. Why would they do that?" Taman shrugged. "Maybe they thought they were helping. Maybe they wanted to prevent species from destroying themselves. But the result is the same. Every species in the galaxy has been engineered to be docile. Except humans. Except humans. We evolved far from the architect's influence. We kept all the traits they removed from everyone else. The aggression, the adaptability, the creativity, the will to survive at any cost. So we're the galaxy's nightmare, someone said. We're what they all used to be. Before someone made them better. Or made them weaker, Taman countered. The architects removed the darkness, but they also removed the strength. They made everyone safe, but also helpless. In the Peltari system, Captain Sora was running out of options. She had destroyed 20 Krell Nax ships, but more kept coming. Her ship was damaged. Ammunition was running low. The civilians had escaped, at least. That was something. Captain, we have incoming ships, sensors reported. Multiple signatures. They're human? Sora felt relief wash over her. 5 more human vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They were merchant ships, civilian vessels that had heard her distress call and come anyway. They were not warships, but they were human, and humans were very good at improvising. This is the freighter Lucky Dragon. A voice came over the radio. It was Captain Jinwoo, the same pilot who had escaped the aliens months ago. Heard. You could use some help. We don't have weapons, another ship reported, but we do have cargo containers full of metal ore. I figure we can throw them at the bad guys? Sora laughed. It was crazy. It was ridiculous. It was perfectly human. Do it. Coordinate with my tactical officer. Let's show these parasites what happens when they mess with our friends. The battle turned again. The civilian ships used their cargo as weapons, launching containers at high velocity. The Krell Nax ships were not expecting physical attacks from non-military vessels. The containers were not sophisticated, but they did not need to be. A ton of metal ore moving at high speed could ruin anyone's day. More human ships arrived. Word had spread on the human networks. Aliens. Attacking civilians. Human ship needs help. That was all it took. Dozens of vessels changed course. Merchants and explorers and miners, all heading to the fight. The Krell Nax commander finally realized something was very wrong. These humans were not following any rules of warfare, he understood. They were not organized military. They were just random civilians who had decided to fight. And they were winning. Retreat, the Krell Nax commander ordered. Fall back to the hive worlds. This prey has teeth. The invasion fleet fled. On the planet below, the Peltari emerged from their shelters to find their world saved. They looked up at the sky, where human ships orbited, protecting them. Terrell and his daughter stood outside their home, watching. They didn't have to help us, his daughter said. They don't even know us. No, Terrell agreed. But they did anyway. Captain Sora received a transmission from the planet. It was Terrell. Thank you, he said simply. We have no way to repay you. We have nothing you need. But thank you, Sora smiled. We don't need payment. But if you want to repay us, tell your story. Tell the galaxy what happened here. Tell them humans keep their promises and protect those who can't protect themselves. The news spread faster than anyone expected. The Peltari told everyone who would listen. Humans had saved them when the Council did nothing. Humans had fought for strangers without expecting anything in return. With it, other species heard the story and wondered. The Council had told them humans were dangerous, violent, unpredictable. But the Council had never mentioned humans were also brave, loyal, and compassionate. On Earth, Ambassador Yuna read the reports with satisfaction. Good, she said. Let the galaxy see who we really are. Not conquerors, not tyrants, just people who believe in doing what's right. But in the council chambers, Kaldresh and Velthar were worried. Humanity is spreading, Velthar said. They're making allies. They're changing things. They're showing other species that the Council is not the only option, Kaldresh added. If this continues, our authority will crumble. Then we must make a choice. Another council member said. Accept them or destroy them. There is no middle ground anymore. The vote was called. The chamber divided exactly in half. Some wanted to welcome humanity as equals. Some wanted to eliminate them before they upset the galactic order further. The decision was deadlocked, and while the council debated, humanity kept exploring, kept helping, kept showing the galaxy what it meant to be human. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Representatives from 1,000 worlds argued, shouted, and demanded answers. The vote on humanity's fate remained split exactly down the middle. Some wanted humanity destroyed. Some wanted them as allies. No one could agree. Kaldresh raised his forearms, calling for silence. This debate has continued for months, he said, his ancient voice tired. We must reach a decision. Then, let me make it simple, Velthar said, standing. While we debate, the humans grow stronger. They've made allies with the Peltari, the Yorvians, even some of my own Velithian colonies. They're spreading their ideas of independence and resistance. If we do not stop them now, we never will. So you propose genocide? Another council member asked. I propose survival. The humans are a disease. They will destroy everything the architects built. Before anyone could respond, alarms began to sound throughout the council station. Screens lit up with emergency warnings. What is happening? Kaldresh demanded. Sir, we're receiving reports from the Outer Rim. The Krelnax have launched a massive invasion. 10,000 ships. They're heading for the core worlds. They're heading for Earth. The chamber went silent. 10,000 ships was the largest fleet anyone had seen in recorded history. The Krelnax had been building in secret, preparing for this moment. They're going to destroy the humans, someone whispered. And then they'll come for us, another added. On Earth, the warning came from Captain Jinwu's ship. He had been trading near Krelnax space when he saw the fleet gathering. He had sent the message immediately and run. Admiral Dajan stood in the war room, looking at the tactical display. 10,000 ships. Earth had maybe 500 combat vessels and another 1,000 civilian ships that could be armed in a hurry. We cannot win this, Commander Hyunwoo said quietly. No, Dajan agreed. We can't. But we can make them regret trying. Ambassador Yuna sent a message to the Galactic Council. We know they're coming. We know we're probably going to lose. But humanity doesn't surrender. We'll fight. And if we fall, we'll take as many of them with us as we can. Maybe that will buy the rest of the galaxy time to prepare. She paused, then added, We asked to be your equals. You debated. Now, you'll see what we meant. Earth doesn't bow to anyone. The Krelnax fleet arrived 3 days later. They expected to find a frightened planet, ready to surrender. Instead, they found a fortress. Every human ship was in position. Every weapon was armed. Every satellite, station, and orbital platform had been turned into a weapon. The entire population had been mobilized. Even civilian ships carried explosives, ready to ram enemies if necessary. This is the Krelnax swarm, a cold voice transmitted. You are to be consumed. Resistance is futile. We will absorb your world and everything on it. This is Admiral Dajan of Earth. Come and try. The battle began like an avalanche. Thousands of Krelnax ships poured toward Earth, blotting out the stars. Human defenders opened fire, and space lit up with weapons fire. Captain Tejo commanded a defense station near the moon. He watched as wave after wave of enemies approached. His railguns fired continuously, destroying ship after ship. But there were always more. We can't hold them, his tactical officer said. We don't have to hold them forever, Tejo replied. Just long enough. Engineer Jiwoo had prepared a surprise. Hidden among Earth's defensive satellites were thousands of drones, each one small and cheap, and carrying just enough explosive to hurt. They did not need sophisticated guidance. They just needed targets. When she activated them, the drones swarmed like angry bees. They were too small for the Krellnax to track individually, too numerous to shoot down. They latched onto enemy ships and exploded. One drone would not destroy a ship, but 100 drones could. In her dark room, Hana worked her magic again. She could not hack Krellnax ships as easily as Velithian ones. The hive mind was too different, but she could confuse them, feed them false information, make them fire on each other. Pilot Minho led a squadron of fighters on what everyone knew was a suicide mission. They dove into the heart of the enemy fleet, drawing fire, causing chaos, buying time for the defensive lines to regroup. Half his squadron died in the first 10 minutes. Minho kept flying. On the ground, Dr. Nari watched from a bunker as the battle raged overhead. She had studied their biology, learned their weaknesses. She had weapons ready that the galaxy would find horrific. Bioweapons, diseases, genetic poisons. She prayed she would not have to use them. For 3 days, the battle continued. Humans died by the thousands. Ships were destroyed. Stations fell. But the Krellnax were dying too. Their invasion force, which had seemed unstoppable, was being ground down by human determination. "We've lost 40% of their fleet," Hyunwoo reported. "But we've lost 70% of ours. We're not going to make it," someone said. "We knew that from the start," Daejin replied. "But look what we've done. Look how much it cost them to kill us." That was when the reinforcements arrived. Ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel by the hundreds. Peltari agricultural vessels converted to carry weapons. Yorvian mining ships with improvised armor. Even Velithian warships, whose crews had defected from the Council. "This is Terrell of the Peltari fleet." A familiar voice came over the radio. "We heard humanity needed help. We're here to repay our debt." Captain Sora's voice joined in. "The exploration fleet is here too. We brought everyone we could find." More and more ships arrived. Species that humanity had helped, that had heard their story, that had decided the Council's neutrality was wrong. They came to fight alongside humanity. In the Council chamber, the representatives watched in shock as their carefully ordered galaxy fell apart. Species they had controlled for millennia were ignoring their commands, rushing to help the humans. "This is unprecedented," Kaldresh said. "This is beautiful," one council member whispered. "They're willing to die for each other." Velthar stood, and for the first time, he looked uncertain. "The humans did this. They showed everyone that resistance was possible, that standing up to power was possible. They've undone 3 million years of order, or 3 million years of slavery," another voice countered. The battle turned. With reinforcements, the human fleet pushed back. The Krellnax, who had never experienced unified resistance from multiple species, began to panic. Their hive mind could not process this level of cooperation. Admiral Daejin saw the opportunity. "All ships, final push. Break their line. Drive them back." The combined fleet surged forward. Human railguns fired alongside Peltari plasma weapons. Jorvian mining lasers cut through enemy hulls. Velithian defectors used their knowledge of galactic military tactics to coordinate the attack. The Krellnax fleet broke and ran. Of the 10,000 ships that had come to destroy Earth, fewer than 3,000 escaped. The galaxy watched. The impossible had happened. A newly discovered species, considered primitive and weak, had not only survived, but had changed everything. Ambassador Yuna stood before the Galactic Council, transmitted live to every world in known space. She looked tired but unbowed. "You debated whether to accept us as equals," she said. "You debated whether we deserved a place in your galaxy. Let me save you the trouble. We don't want your permission. We don't need your approval. Humanity will take our place in the stars, with or without you." She paused. looking directly at the camera. But here's what we offer. Not submission, not vassalization. True alliance. Between equals. Species helping each other because it's right, not because they're forced to. The Peltari understood. The Yorvians understood. Even some Velithians understood. Jantar. Jantar. We're not asking you to change for us. We're asking you to remember what you were before someone made you forget. Before you were workers and warriors and farmers. Before you were specialized and controlled. Remember when you were free. Kaldresh stood slowly. He was ancient. Had seen civilizations rise and fall. Had served the council for longer than most species had existed. And now, for the first time in centuries, he smiled. I vote to accept humanity as full members of the Galactic Council, he said. Not as vassals. As equals. Let anyone who disagrees face me in debate. The chamber erupted, some in anger, some in joy. But the momentum had shifted. Species that had watched humans fight and die for strangers could not deny their courage. Species that had been saved by humanity could not refuse them now. The vote was called again. This time, it was not close. Humanity was accepted. The first species in 10,000 years to join as true equals. On Earth, people celebrated. In orbit, Captain Tejo looked at the debris field and the Allied fleet and felt hope for the first time in months. At her computer, Hana closed her systems and allowed herself to cry in relief. In his fighter, Minho limped back to base, barely alive but grinning. 1 year later, Captain Tejo stood in the council chamber as humanity's first representative, Dr. Nari had established the Galactic Medical Exchange, teaching other species the medical advances humanity had learned through centuries of war and suffering. Admiral Dajin had retired but was training a new galactic defense force based on human tactics and human values. Earth had sent out hundreds of exploration ships. They found species that needed help and helped them. They found species that needed friends and befriended them. They found species that had forgotten what it meant to be free and reminded them. The galaxy was changing. The rigid order the architects had imposed was cracking. Species were remembering their own strength, their own agency, their own worth. Ambassador Yuna stood in a park on Earth, watching children from a dozen species play together. A Peltari child laughed as a human child chased her. A Jorvian youngling shared his lunch with a Velithian cub. You look thoughtful, Commander Hyunwoo said, joining her. I was just thinking. Yuna replied. The council thought we were the ultimate force because we could fight. Because we had weapons and tactics they'd never seen. They were wrong. 2. What's our ultimate force then? Yuna smiled, watching the children. Hope. The belief that tomorrow can be better than today. The willingness to fight for that better tomorrow. Not just for ourselves, but for everyone. That's what makes us dangerous. That's what makes us strong. Not our weapons. Our hearts. In orbit, a human ship prepared to jump to a new system, to explore new worlds, to find new friends. Its name was painted on the hull in a dozen languages. A promise to the galaxy. We stand together. Dawn. The stars had been empty for so long. Now they were full of hope. And humanity, the species that refused to bow, that chose compassion over conquest, that remembered how to dream, led the way forward. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly how it should be.